With less than 20 days to go until polling day in America, Kamala Harris has nowhere to hide anymore. She's avoided hard interviews her entire election campaign up until today. Her interview on Fox News has just exposed her. Let's start with this question by Bret Baier. He asks if Kamala Harris still supports allowing illegal immigrants to apply for driver's licenses as well as receiving other benefits, like she did when she first ran for president just a few years ago.
There's a lot of people that look back at what you said in 2019 when you first ran for president. And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again, and as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law, and that is exactly what we will do.
Hot tip for you. Kamala Harris is convincing no one with that pathetic answer. She's acting like 5 years ago was a past life. Now, as we know, one of the biggest issues for voters at this election is the crisis at the southern border and the millions of illegal immigrants that have entered into the US under the Biden-Harris administration. Now, just how many illegals have entered? What's the figure? Being the Vice President, Kamala Harris knows exactly what it is, so why doesn't she want to say it out loud?
How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but just a number. Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Bret, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
The answer that the American people deserve to know is there have been around 10 million encounters at the border, and the DHS estimates at least 6 million have been released into the United States. It's actually hard to fathom that number here in Australia. And instead of giving Americans the truth and the figures like she was asked, the Vice President described the crisis as a topic of discussion. Like it's something to chat about. Sadly, it's not just a topic of discussion. It is the reality that the American people are facing because the border is wide open thanks to the Border Czar. Now, we are going to keep dissecting this train wreck interview with our guests in a moment, but I really think this is the moment when the VP got caught out, when she couldn't get away with blaming Donald Trump for her failures.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade, people have become, but listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me.
What is she talking about? You know, that is not clear to anyone. Kamala Harris has had a great run trying to fool Americans, but the game is up.